Okay, I'm getting ready to do a follow-up video to the Evoc Road Bike Bag Pro case that I have owned 3 years to date. Figured I would give you an update on everything that I've experienced with the bag so far and its current condition. So as of right now, the case is unfortunately on its last legs. I've only owned it for 3 years, but I travel frequently with the case. I go to several events a year, and then I also bring my bikes with me whenever I go on family travel. Family hates that. But yes, I travel on average around 5 to 7 times a year. The way that I tracked everything out, it was 21 times that I have traveled with this case over the past 3 years. So that's a lot. The case has been rock solid up until recent times where I've started to experience some issues with the zipper track. The TSA lock that's integrated into the case, that broke maybe around 3 months into owning the case. I don't think that had anything to do with the airlines. I just think it was a faulty lock. But that's okay because I used a barrel lock to secure the case in general. And what I mean by that is I use a barrel lock to basically lock the zippers together. So no issues there. TSA is always going to go into the bag anyway. So this is really just kind of like a supplementary safety procedure for myself just to make me feel good. I don't keep anything too valuable within the case itself other than, shoes and helmet and of course the bike. But yes, TSA is just going to go in there and they're going to be checking for CO2 cartridges and of course anything illegal. Otherwise, I've also got some pretty severe issues that have been developing with the undercarriage of the case, the frame itself. I'll show you that in depth in just a moment. I've never had any issues with my bikes being damaged. Wheels have been fine, and this thing has really paid for itself. It was worth every penny that I've spent on buying this case to keep my bike safe and to travel all around the country and even the world. So with this case, you're able to keep your handlebars on. Only thing you have to do is remove your wheels and remove your pedals, although I think some people keep their pedals on with this particular case. Okay, so let me show you some of the issues that I've been experiencing. So just about 4 trips ago, I started to experience an issue with the zipper track. That's right here. And right now, it wasn't too bad. So really, I could still get the bike in and out of the case without any issues. This is as far as I'm usually willing to zip the zipper down, because if I go any further, then more than likely the zipper will come off of the track and I won't be able to get it back onto the zipper tread here. I'm able to expand the case wide enough to get the bike in and out without much of an issue, even though the zipper tread is kind of jacked up right here, and I noticed that about 3 or 4 trips ago. So I ended up emailing Evoc just to see by chance if there was anything that could be done in terms of like a warranty, but Evoc pretty much doesn't offer anything of that nature. So if you buy this case, just know that you're buying a case that has 0 protection, 0 warranty. So if something does go wrong, you're going to have to submit a claim through the airline. I guess it kind of makes sense, but yeah, that's where we were with the zipper track issue. I had already reached out to him maybe a year prior to this recent issue with the zipper about the TSA lock, because this thing broke within 3 months of me having it. It never worked. It worked maybe once or twice, and really how this is supposed to work is that these zippers are supposed to go into these openings here, and then it's supposed to lock through special code with this integrated TSA lock. I got it to work maybe 1 or 2 trips, and then after that it just stopped. So I was forced to use a third-party barrel lock that I bought off of Amazon. But yeah, these things just kind of snap in here and then they just get released. But yeah, I don't know, that was kind of annoying, but yeah, this never worked. In terms of putting the case together, it's really easy to do. The case is very maneuverable. Never had any issues with it up until now. So to travel a total of 21 times, 7 times a year, I would say this case really held up pretty strong. Here, let me show you some other things about this case. Okay, so there's the sled for the bike frames. So for this sled, I've got some markings on here from the different bikes that I own. I've got my Canyon Grizzle, the S-Works Tarmac SL7, so that way I know where to move up the different mounting points. This moves back and forth. And then for each one of these things right here where your through axle mounts in and the bike mounts to the mount points, these can go up and down depending on how far from the ground your chain ring is going to be, because obviously you don't want your chain ring to be too close to the ground where it's striking the ground. But anyways, you can see this dent that's here right now. This happened just a trip ago, and so I noticed that this was severely dented. And I would say after 3 years, I'm surprised that it hasn't happened sooner, because this is pretty soft aluminum here. But yeah, this is dented up pretty bad. That also was a good indication that maybe the bottom of the bag has gone through some issues as well. So yeah, this is a pretty good size dent, depression. I haven't bothered trying to like hammer it back out, because I figured if I start trying to manipulate this to get it back into shape, it'll never happen, and then I'm probably gonna just do more damage. So I've left it like that. And I just recently traveled over to Austria with the sled in this condition. Everything was fine, no issues. But with the bag itself, here's where some of the other damage is situated. You can see where the frame was bent. It's also bent here on the supports for the underneath of the frame. It's probably kind of hard to see, but there's a profile shot, and you can see on the left side of the case, the frame is bent up pretty good. And now up here you can see where the plastic is coming off of the frame, where there used to be some bolts that mount to the soft aluminum, these support rails that are here underneath the frame. And so these two pieces of plastic are now not really even supported. I mean, there's just like one bolt that's sitting in here right now that's like right there. And then this thing flexes. So now this whole area has basically no support, so that when the front wheel is on, let me get the wheel out for you so you can see how that works. I usually keep the wheel in this little pocket whenever I am getting ready to check the bike in so that it doesn't get lost. And then whenever I'm moving to and from the airport, I put the wheel back in, and that gives you the maneuverability. All right, so now that the wheel is in there, when the case is loaded, this case is pretty much flexing down to the ground. So you can see how things are bending down a little bit here. And then that makes it tough for when you're trying to like maneuver through the airport. So these last couple trips that I've taken, I've basically just had to kind of lightly pull up on the case whenever I'm dragging it around, just so it's maneuverable. But yeah, when the bike is mounted to the frame and all of that is in the case and that weight is in there, it's just flexing backwards. So there's basically no support under there, because now you can see where the plastic piece is just coming down, and then it also strikes the ground when you're moving through the airport. So that's problematic. Yeah, I think at this point I'm not feeling comfortable enough to continue using this case, because I'm probably just playing with fire at this moment in time. And I'm just not sure that I've got enough of the MacGyver skills in me to try to fix this thing up, because I'm sure like anyone that's super handy probably could maybe fix this area of the case. But you can see that's pretty bad. I'm not manipulating this with great force at all. This is just freely coming out. So that's a pretty serious issue. And you can see it's kind of worn right there too. I would have liked for this case to last maybe a few more years. I've only owned it for 3 years. But to travel as frequently as I travel, I'm surprised that it's held up this well, and I've never had any issues with my bikes. So all in all, I'm pretty grateful. This is where we're at currently with the condition of the case. Otherwise, I don't know. I might do some research to see if there are any other bike cases on the market, or I might just repurchase this exact same case again because I'm familiar with it and it's worked well up and I guess to a point. But to spend $1,000 every 3 years, I don't know. I would love to see Evoc as a company offer some sort of warranty or maybe like a discount program so that you can continue buying these cases. I like this case because you do not have to take your handlebars off. I've got one bike that has integrated cables, and so this allows me to just take the wheels off, mount the bike to the frame, and not have to fuss around with taking handlebars on, off, or doing any of that where you're messing about with the stem. And I don't know, I feel like the case is worth the money, but there are a lot of other cases on the market, and now is probably the time for me to do some research. I've got the other video that covers this case and how I was flying about with my bikes, and the case was obviously in a lot better shape than it is now. But yeah, this thing has seen some miles. 21 trips, roughly 5 to 7 times a year. The Evoc Road Bike Bag Pro. After 3 years, this thing is taking a beating. So hopefully this is useful to anyone watching this and is thinking about buying a bike bag or buying this particular case to travel with their bikes. If you've got any questions, feel free to let me know.